Well, remember the budget, remember the debt, remember the deficit? The president impaneled a blue ribbon commission called the Simpson-Bowles Commission a couple of years ago. He took it very seriously.
I forgot all about that.
And the answer most people have, the answer the president explained at the time was higher taxes, but also cuts to entitlements, which are spinning out of control, as we know. Well, surprise, surprise, if you at home believed him, you shouldn't have, because the 2015 budget has been leaked, parts of it anyway, the president's budget, and there are no efforts to restrain entitlement spending whatsoever.
Specifically, cuts to Social Security cost of living increases, which the president said, the White House said, we put that on the table as a gesture of goodwill, because then Republicans would come back on the other side and close those tax loopholes for the rich. And we would come together in this bipartisan agreement, part of this grand agreement. But now the White House saying, look, Republicans are making no effort whatsoever to come forward with anything that they want to cut, so we're taking that off the table from last year.
But we've already had the tax increases, just for the record here, just to set this up accurately. We had the tax increases, a lot of them, and we have not seen any cuts to entitlements.
So the White House essentially admitting that that was just a little bit of a carrot there. And yes, Republicans saying that the president has no real initiative on trying to do something about this debt crisis we're in. And Charles Krauthammer basically says the same thing. Take a listen.
I think it is true. He's never been interested in lowering the deficit. I think that was clear. It contradicts the reason he ran for president. It's to change a lot of things in society, to give people stuff like health care, etc. That's the vision he has, social democratic, and reducing the deficit was never on the list. The idea that chained CPI is a gift, as he said, a bargaining chip to Republicans, rather than the logical thing any president would do if you're trying to make Social Security recipients whole by keeping up with inflation. The current measure, is an inaccurate measure, so why wouldn't you want an accurate one? It's not a gift to the GOP, it's a gift to the country.
That's exactly right. If you care about Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid for that matter, you're going to restrain their growth because the country can't afford it. With the baby boom retiring, this is completely unsustainable. And any person who does math, who can do addition, understands that.
Also, what's unsustainable is the size of the military budget when you look at all of these big budget contracts that they're spending on gas masks and airplanes that they don't actually need. But instead of cutting those things, those big contracts that are just putting money in the pockets of lobbyists, and part of this new budget is actually going to cut the pensions and the standard of living increases for the military personnel.
Yeah, so let's take a look at some of these proposals there for military personnel cuts. 1-year freeze on raises for top military brass. It would place limits on pay raises for troops, cut subsidies to commissaries, and raise non-urgent health care fees. Also limit troops' housing allowances. So this, really hurting the heroes of America.
So these are cuts that the Secretary of Defense, Chuck Hagel, former senator from Nebraska, is apparently going to announce this week. It's interesting. I don't think anybody argues that you couldn't restrain military spending some, but contrast their eagerness to cut pay to our troops with their total unwillingness to, say, reduce welfare spending, food stamps, Social Security, SSI, disability, which is completely out of control. Every single dollar spent on those programs, they'll tell you with a straight face, absolutely necessary.
Well, is that going to discourage, men and women from wanting to join the military if the benefits are cut to them? We certainly don't want that either.
Right. I talked to a number of veterans during the holidays who stopped me at stores and said, you guys got to talk about this. You guys got to talk about this on the show because this is a big problem for us veterans. We're going to see huge cuts to our overall standard of living. This is going to affect our bottom line and our family. We're not going to be able to do this. We're not going to be able to do that. So it is hitting people right where it hurts the most instead of these big contracts that could be done away with.